China biodegradable plastics failing to solve pollution crisis. China, the world's largest producer of plastic waste, introduced bans earlier this year on several types of non-degradable single-use plastics, prompting manufacturers to ramp up production of biodegradable versions. China's e-commerce industry is on track to generate an estimated 5 million tons of biodegradable plastic waste per year by 2025, when the country's single-use plastic bans come into effect nationwide, the charity said. Biodegradable plastics can be broken down by living organisms, but most require specific industrial treatment at high temperatures to be degraded within 6 months. In the absence of controlled composting facilities, most biodegradable plastics end up in landfills, or worse, in rivers and the ocean, said Greenpeace's East Asia plastics researcher Dr. Malijong Nanjia. Switching from one type of plastic to another cannot solve the plastics pollution crisis that we're facing, she said. Chinese President Xi Jinping has in recent speeches stressed the importance of reducing plastic waste, but many major Chinese cities have little or no infrastructure in place to cope with the expansion of biodegradable plastics production. The BBC has attempted to contact China's Ministry of Ecology and Environment for comment. One of the main challenges with biodegradable plastics globally is that they cannot be put into ordinary household recycling or degraded in home composting bins, meaning consumers mostly don't have any route to get biodegradable packaging to the kinds of industrial facilities capable of processing it. Unless there is clear infrastructure for what we call end-of-life, whether that's recycling or incineration or landfill or biodegradation in some way, then that is still a single-use plastic, said Dr. Rachel Rothman, the co-director of the Grantham Center for Sustainable Futures at the University of Sheffield. Just because a plastic is biodegradable, that doesn't mean it is not single-use, she said. Another category of plastics made fully or partially from biological resources, often referred to as bioplastics, are not necessarily biodegradable, adding to potential confusion for consumers. Globally, the industrial infrastructure needed to process biodegradable plastics, from collection through to high-temperature composting, does not exist at the scale needed to match the volume of those plastics being produced. This is a global problem, absolutely, said Dr. Rothman. The UK has been consulting on biodegradable and compostable plastics, and there's a new standard on biodegradability. A study published in October in the journal Science's Advances, which examined data from 2016, estimated that the US was the world's leading plastic waste producer that year, followed by India and then China. Taken collectively, the EU nations would be in second place, despite having only about 40% of the population of India and China. The US ships large quantities of its plastic waste to other countries. In 2017 alone, China took in 7 million tons of plastic rubbish from Europe, Japan and the US. China has since banned the import of 24 different grades of rubbish, but other countries including Malaysia, Turkey, the Philippines and Indonesia, which already have to tackle large quantities of their own plastic waste, have picked up some of the slack. Some of these countries have since sent some of the imported plastic rubbish back. The Greenpeace report published Thursday warns that replacing single-use plastics with high-volume production of various biodegradable alternatives is not the solution to the plastics waste problem. We need to take a cautious look at the effect and potential risks of mainstreaming these materials, and make sure we invest in solutions that actually reduce plastic waste, said Greenpeace's Dr. Jia. Reusable packaging systems and a reduction in overall plastic use are much more promising strategies to keep plastic out of landfills and the environment, she said. Recycling: where is the plastic waste mountain? Melbourne Towers lockdown breached human rights. Korean Lantern Festival gets UNESCO honors. COVID: Melbourne Towers lockdown breached human rights '4. China biodegradable plastics failing to solve pollution crisis '5.